technically take 3 because I had to do a mini one in there to try and do this episode of the Let's Talk Game podcast, episode 43. As you guys politely reminded me, we'll check that you guys have got audio this time, as you didn't the first time, and the second time I forgot how to work Streamlabs. Fun. Right, we've got some video games to talk about today, boys. We will start with what we usually do, as what we've been playing, move into some news topics, which you guys know more about than I do, and then follow that up with some industry predictions for 2021, including what video games are coming out this year which will bomb hard, what will be a bit of a sneak attack, and what will be probably the most critically acclaimed game of the year. Without further ado, for attempt number 2, we will go to man in the middle. Uncle Chunt, what have you been playing?
Well, as I mentioned before, no, I don't want to do that to you. Yeah, just Animal Crossing during lunch breaks, man. And my spare time, I've been working on something else, project-wise, and enjoying actually thoroughly. Now that I think about it, after I said it, thoroughly enjoying Ty the Tasmanian Tiger more than I thought I would. I loved it back in the day, but I'm just playing it again now on a new console, super fast frame rate and loading super fast. There's no loading screens at all. So good. And back the sequel Kickstarter, porting that over to new consoles as well. Good times, man. Supporting an Aussie developer. Yeah, I can't complain there, and they're good games too. Done.
Enjoyable, Dan.
It's NFL playoff time. It's Madden. It's football. Yeah, I'm very excited. So that's all I've got. Hopefully to get started on Tomb Raider or something else soon. But just football at the moment. So we'll stick with that.
I mean, I'm not going to correct you on the fact that it is not football. Like, quite literally, it's not football. But
not my football either. It depends on the time of year of what football it is.
It's just not football. So what about me? I didn't buy that red Mario Switch, as you were telling me I would, but I did buy another one. And I've been playing Hades, which I'm really happy to be going back to. It's such a cool video game. We've spoke about it at length, kind of over the Christmas period as well. You know, it's just you can pick it up and play it for 5 minutes. You can pick it up and play it for 5 hours. Absolutely fantastic video game. I've also played some more Genshin Impact, although I've hit a bit of a ceiling with that. In terms of I now have to do quite a lot of grinding to progress the story, and I don't know how bothered I can be. Other than that, I played a bit of Breath of the Wild as well, just because I'm in a very Zelda-y mood at the moment. It's the anniversary 35 that we spoke about last week, so hopefully some new Zelda Ridge coming soon. Other than that, nothing. So yeah, it's been quite a quiet week all round for what we've actually played. So without further ado, we will talk about the news. Insert Ron Burgundy here. And guys, there's been some stuff going on. I've paid no attention to any of it because I've had quite a crazy week at work, and yeah, I just can't really be asked to think about video game news. So Dan, do you want to take us away with what's going on over at Sony, as you seem to have sent me a bunch of stuff which I know nothing about?
Yeah, well, so I just wanted to include this because I basically just wanted to do a nice humble brag, really. So a few years ago, there was a point where Microsoft did their first bunch of acquisitions of studios. And back then I was saying, you know, I think Sony will still buy some studios and that, but I would rather them just develop what they already had. And then the same conversation came up now that we actually have had a podcast at the time when Microsoft bought Bethesda. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, you know, I'm sure they're going to buy someone. I know they were looking at buying the Warframe guys, but I was like, I just feel like they need to like grow the teams they already have because it's cheaper and it's faster to build what they already had. Anyway, there was 2 stories that came out this week. So one was from the LinkedIn profile from Michael Mumbauer, and he was talking about where in his LinkedIn profile, his latest achievement is having built a brand new all-star AAA action-adventure development team for PlayStation. The profile reads, based in San Diego and utilizing proprietary engine technology, this team was assembled to expand upon existing franchises and craft all new stories for the next generation of gamers. In the same week, there was a tweet from Santa Monica basically just saying we are seeking an experienced art director for the development of a new unannounced title. So within that, we can kind of guess that one in San Diego, whether it's part of actual Sony San Diego who make the MLB the Show and everything, whether it's another team of that studio or just another team in the San Diego city. Plus now we're hearing about Santa Monica opening up another team as well. And I found back in 2018, Guerrilla Games hired some talent from Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and one of them was the actual game director of that game and is now working at Guerrilla, making me think that Guerrilla also has a second team, because why would you hire the guy from Rainbow Six Siege and not start working on a shooter? That is combined with a couple of weeks ago, the Killzone website was shut down.
Yeah.
So maybe Guerrilla's working on another
shooter.
Yeah, people have talked about like bringing SOCOM back or something, like something like that with the secondary Guerrilla team. And this last one I wanted to mention was, this is more pure rumor than anything, but there is rumor out there that Cory Barlog, who directed the God of War 2018 version, the rumor is that though he's writing on the second game, that he's actually part of the second team who is making some sort of spaced game. That is the team that Alana Pierce is now a junior writer on.
Right.
Some people, like, because of all the Lucas game stuff that we talked about last week, people are thinking, oh, maybe they're working on a Star Wars game or something like that. But I feel they're probably just working on something original, because 4 years ago or something, Santa Monica had to cancel a space game because the space game involves going to different planets and hunting some type of robot dinosaurs and stuff like that. Bit close to another Sony game,
just a bit.
And that's when they had to rush like 100 people onto God of War, when God of War wasn't ready to have an extra 100 people on it. So they were scrambling. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that story, one as a humble brag, because I was calling this years ago, and I'm very excited that it's getting close to that. But yeah, just the ideas of what can be behind that San Diego studio and what they're making, and what would Sony Santa Monica want to make. Anyway, you guys can have the floor.
Do you actually think it'll be a first-person shooter? It seems to be one of the main things that Sony doesn't really have, like their own big name first-person shooter anymore.
Well, I think the Guerrilla one is almost a sure bet at this stage, because they used to be a first-person shooter. I don't know about the Sony San Diego. The fact that it says it's a AAA action adventure development team, I don't think Resistance or Killzone. I don't think
Kratos goes to the moon. Calling it now.
I think they know their niche, and I think that's where they're going. I can't think of much. Right? Well, yeah, it depends on the. Yeah, that's an Egyptian thing, isn't it?
I don't know, but whatever it is, man, I trust in Corey just based on the way he handled the God of War story. As I've mentioned previously, I'm not a massive fan of the gameplay, but the story itself, I watched that. I could watch that again. Like, I watched a mate play through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. So if it's anything like that experience, so I'm very intrigued at what they'll be doing over there. Yeah, exciting. You know, all these new studios coming out, big names moving, some pretty cool things coming down the pipeline. I think it's going to be a good time in the next 5 years, I think.
More, right? That's just it seems to be the demand from everybody. Like, just more, make us more, do us more. Helpful, you know, when we're in the scenario we're in now. I hope we're not in the same scenario in like 5 years when all this stuff's starting to come out. We'll be really pushing for time to actually try and play something. And Chunt, you sent a couple of newsy tiny pieces. What did you discover this week?
About Resident Evil. that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So look, I don't really care too much for Resident Evil, but I watched the Resident Evil 8 stream that happened today, where they had a big segment of gameplay and the premise and the characters and showing off the RE engine. And oh man, that engine, God, every time they bring out a game on it, it just looks better and better and better. And Resident Evil 8 looks stunning. I couldn't believe it. Watching the actual 4K or 60 FPS stream for it just looks insane. It almost makes me want to play it, but God, it looks scary as shit. You know, like I keep saying with scary games, I'm a sook, I don't like to play them, you know. But the Resident Evil games are ones that I wish I would play because they look fun. I didn't really like Resident Evil 7, but this one, it seems like it's going back to its roots somewhat with a Resident Evil 4 twist on it. And, you know, obviously Resident Evil 4 is one of the best ones. You know, the ones with the highest review scores in critical acclaim apparently are objectively the best ones in the series. Little in-joke. But Resident Evil 4 is a massive fan favorite, and Resident Evil 8 looks just like it with a better polish on it. There's a couple of characters in it that apparently are from Resident Evil 4, so I don't know if there's like a direct combination relation or whatever to that game. But the internet went in a tizzy in the Twitterverse with this voluptuous character. I don't know if you've seen that going around, but there's a very well endowed woman in the game who introduces the character to you, and it's like death by snoo kind of thing. Impressive. I'm not going to play it. I don't really care for it. I'm more Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, or Resident Evil 1, let's face it. I'm more of that kind of era. But if they do a VR game, they haven't announced any VR option for this game yet. So we'll see there. I'd say if it's going to be anything, it'll be on PC at a later date. But the demo, it's out now. You can play it. It's on PS5 only. It's exclusively there for now. And the game comes out in May sometime. May 7th, I think it was. It's like right after the fiscal year. It's Capcom's first biggest game for the next financial year. So get hype, all you Capcom Resident Evil fans. Additional to that is a multiplayer game. It's free to play, but you get it when you buy Resident Evil 8, so it's not really free. So figure that one out. But it's like a 25th anniversary celebration of Resident Evil, and it's like a multiplayer shooter where you're just using Resident Evil characters and you can turn into monsters and zombies and stuff. And it's in like a comic book cell shaded format. It looks really rough, but cool, I guess. It's just more for the Resident Evil fans. I think they could have done something better for a 25th anniversary celebration game, but it's called Reverse, RE:verse, like Resident Evil Universe.
Sure.
Get it?
Sure.
Real clever.
Yeah.
Real
Pay
clever.
the big bucks.
Yeah. So cool. That's it. That's Resident Evil in a nutshell. I recommend watching the trailer at least once, the gameplay trailer, because the game engine is beautiful. I wish they would do something else. I think the Devil May Cry 5, I think that was built in RE engine as well. So you can see what you can do with the engine, but yeah, watch it, man. Even just for the visual aspect alone.
Yeah, it's
that's it.
Just to give it a go. Like you said, the demo's there, so I might look at that at some point in the coming weeks, months, year. Who knows?
The demo is just a walking simulator, basically. You don't fight anything.
Oh, strange.
It's about the atmosphere.
Yeah,
and it'll showcase the engine, as you said, like showing off the graphics and things like that. So brilliant. Now, Dan, you sent a note through about Fall Guys having to walk back some information that they put out into the world, and kind of tweet out to cover things. What's this about? Inform me.
Well, essentially, the Xbox Twitter account, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The Xbox Twitter account, or the Game Pass, Twitter account, essentially tweeted out saying, like, Fall Guys is coming, essentially. And Fall Guys Twitter basically came back and said, no, we're not. And I think the Xbox tweet got deleted, and they wrote something up saying it's not happening. which is not the first time this happened, because it happened last year as well, where Phil Spencer mentioned that Control was coming, and what is it, Remedy? Remedy came out and said, no, please go buy the game. It's not coming. And then probably 5-6 months later, eventually Control did. So it probably tells you, one, how far in advance these deals are all made, but also Games Pass getting a little bit excited about the games that they managed to get on the service, and just slip in a little bit here and there about what games are coming, which you can get because the developers and the publishers want to sell as much as they can before it goes to free for so many people. So I get that, but it's it's interesting that it's popped up again.
Yeah, loose lips sink ships, but I don't think it's going to sink anyone's ship here. But yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I reckon it's going to come, and it's a no-brainer for that kind of game. There's microtransactions in the game anyway, so
and it's fallen off as well. That's the thing that you've got to remember. Like it's tapered off a bit now, so they're probably not getting the money that they were, 6 months ago. So it does make sense for them to put it to something like Game Pass. But yeah, very very interesting. They had a bit of a similar thing last week, I think, with Hades. The rumor started to spread that it's like, oh, it's coming to Game Pass, and it's like, if you've watched the No Clip series, which I still implore everybody to do, it's one of their best documentaries. It's over like 6 parts, really, really, really good, kind of through the development of it. And they openly state in that it's not just as easy as pushing a button to put it onto these new machines. Like there's got to be serious back end work done. And obviously, given what's been going on, and they actually shipped 1.0, the final game, not long ago, they're taking a bit of a well-deserved break. Considering it kind of developed alongside the community. So I don't think that's anywhere near coming to Game Pass. I think when it does come to new consoles, it will come to Game Pass, but I don't think that's anytime soon either. So them's the newsy bits. The only newsy bit that I had to add to you guys was Nintendo discontinuing the Switch dock, which has been rumored for some time. It went away for a good while, probably just before the pandemic, so we're looking at a year ago. And then it came back, obviously, because everybody was buying Switches and people were wanting, they had stock in inventory, and now it's gone again. You cannot purchase a standalone dock from Nintendo. There's a couple of reasons behind this. Like, people are thinking, is it to do with, there's third-party options on the market now and people are just not buying them, so they just got wasted stock sitting there? Or is it a case of they're pulling all of these units either back in, or they're not shipping them because there have been Realtek drivers found in patents that display 4K signals? So are they going to create a 4K capable dock with a built-in upscaler, some DLSS technology, or another chip? And that's why they're taking it off the market, because later this year they will have a dock Pro, so to speak. And we spoke about this a little bit last week when we were talking Switch Pro rumors, that is it just going to be a dock? Is it going to be a standalone kind of thing, which this kind of lends a bit more credence to? So have you guys got any opinions on why it might be that it's come off the market?
Well, I don't know anyone that's bought a second one that didn't come with the console. So selling it individually, who knows how many they made, or when they stopped producing, when they realized no one was buying them. They were expensive too, man. Like when they first came out, it was $120 or something for a dock here, just for a standalone. That's ridiculous. You'd be more inclined to just move the whole thing, to another TV area. It's pretty simple. But yeah, it makes sense. 4K TVs being standard now, and if they can have their own customized upscaler, where they know it's going to give them and their games the best image, rather than relying on the panel itself on your TV to do the upscaling or processing on your TV.
Yeah, which is really, it's really poor, by the way. I've noticed that it's really not very good.
Yeah, so if they can have a piece of hardware that's dedicated just to doing that as an additional, makes sense. So how do you feel about that with you just got a new Switch or another one, rather than waiting around for a Pro Switch? Are you just content with your Switch now and just buying the dock, 4K dock?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the output and the scaling of it is awful, especially when you're as close as I am now. Like you can see edges, which is not great. That decision that I'd made was based largely around the fact that I think it's just going to be some kind of mid refresh dock thing. So yeah, properly content with kind of the decision there. I've no regrets.
Yeah, good. I would be too.
I feel like
I'm pretty happy with that.
if they do come out with the Switch Pros, essentially it's just the dock. The Switch that you have will work in it, and it will make the games look better on a TV and everything. Surely then that Nintendo must have information, because one of the big selling points of the Switch is that you can take it wherever you want to go, take it on the move. But they must have, if that's the case, they must have information about how many people still play the Switch on their TV in the lounge room. Like they must have data that backs that up. Otherwise, they'd put more effort into the portability of the console and making that more powerful. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think as well as the data that they've been able to share, you've got to look at the market share for the last year as well. You know, they don't want to bum a load of people out that have just invested in the last year and go, but now we're changing. Yeah, now we're changing stuff. So yeah, swings and roundabouts really.
If they know, like on Xbox side, just from that perspective, if they know how many few people were using the optical cable on their console and they removed it for the new ones, I'm sure Nintendo have the stats and data on who's docked and who's not. You'll probably find if they do release a new Switch, it probably won't come. I doubt, maybe it won't come with a dock. Like it'll just be a Switch Lite, but the actual full-blown Switch. So you can buy them separately. I think that'll probably happen. Like depending on who you are. If you're like me, mine's always docked. But if like my brother, for argument's sake, he's usually more often than not always playing in handheld mode, and so are his kids with their Switches. And you know, very rarely are they docked. So depends on the demographic. But I'm all for it, man. If it's not expensive, like I wouldn't mind upgrading it to a 4K dock when I get a new TV. And if it's not gonna just bust my ass to do that, you know, that'll be the factor for me.
What would always make their hardware
be though?
Well, Nintendo will always make their hardware on the cheap and sell it as premium. They always have. I think the Wii U, as soon as they sold one console, they were making a profit, and plus you had Legend of Zelda that came with it or something like that. So they've always done that with their console. So I don't see them pushing the hardware. Ridiculous.
So my sweet spot for it would determine how badly I want it. Like if I'm content with just having my 1080p output and then my TV doing the brunt of the work, fine. If it saves me $200, no, I'm not going to do that for $200. Like maybe 100 max, just for a plastic bit of thing that's just making it look crisper. You know, I'd be really hesitant at $100. I'm just saying, but you know, they're gonna, like Dan said, they're gonna make it cheap, then they're gonna price it higher, and then there's the Aussie tax on top. Probably gonna be $150. I can see it.
And I think maybe even then some, because I'm not sure if they include storage with it. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a bunch of textures that are for these specific versions, you're gonna have somewhere to put that. So is it a case
Wouldn't
of
that go to your console or your SD card?
Yeah, but it's so slow. And you got to think if they're getting people to increase texture sizes, you know, the output files are going to be much bigger, which means they need to be read much quicker. And depending on what chip in there is driving it, depending on how fast that chip is and how fast it needs information, that, you know, the speed of what's inside the, you know, the current cards that we have in ours are nowhere near quick enough. They read at like 100 megasecond, I think, which would not do the trick for something large, open world, which, you know, you have to feel this is coming alongside Breath of the Wild 2. That's got to be the game this year that you think that this is going to happen alongside, right? So they've got a weird idea, and they never do stuff normal, and I think that's something that we spoke about last week, was they really aren't good at doing things by the book, so it's completely unpredictable, but it is nice to kind of hypothesize around what they'd be doing.
Yeah, well, I can see them just making it an upscaler, and that's it. Like the base games, they'll keep making the games as is. It'll just be an upscaler. I don't think it'll be, it's going to recognize a 4K output, now it's going to pull down the patches from Nintendo Online. I don't think it's going to be anything like that at all. You know, I really don't.
I think it probably will be. I think given just what, you know, I've investigated around sort of Monhun Rise coming out as well, Like there's space and lines in the code even of the beta that says, you know, it has access to a higher res texture pack. Do you know what I mean? Like the read is way too high for reading these small files, which indicates, you know, new textures will be available. So it's and you know, Nintendo put that message out. They told developers you need to make your games 4K ready. So
true, fair point.
Weird. We'll see at some point. What's next on the docket is moving to what we want to talk about the year. We want to talk about the year. What's happening this year?
Fluffy things.
What's coming out? Yeah, fluffy thing time. So fluffy thing time indicates 1. We'll start with the rubbish thing. What's going to bomb? What's going to bomb hardest this year? And then we'll get into the more interesting stuff. So, Dan, you like a bit of fluff? Off you go. What's going to bomb?
I love the fluff. I've got like 4 here.
Just give us 1.
But I'll go with the one I wrote down first. Prince of Persia remake. I think that thing is going to absolutely just it's going to come out. People are not even going to recognize it. People won't want to talk about it. It'll just go by the wayside. I reckon that is destined for the 4s and the 3s of the year.
Yep. I mean, the trailer that they released back when they announced it didn't do it any favors either. Killed all hype.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll delay it because Ubisoft don't want to spend more money on it. They'll just want to get it out.
It feels just a bit pointless, doesn't it? Like, I think it's felt pointless since the announcement. I know there's the whole, you know, hype culture around this kind of stuff, and it's like, no, like this doesn't need to happen. Like it really doesn't. It's a cash grab, in it.
Whoever was asking for a Prince of Persia game was not asking for this Prince of Persia game.
No, they were probably asking for a remake or like a complete reboot, so to speak, and that is not what they're getting. I'd be inclined to agree with that. I'd forgot it was even happening, to be honest.
My point.
Yeah, case in point, exactly. Next, man in the middle.
Me. Okay. Balan Wonderland. You know what that is?
No.
No?
Yeah,
you know what it is. It's it's this new game coming out. I think Square is publishing it, and it's the character designer for Sonic the Hedgehog and Knights, Into Knights, whatever it is, and Link's a Time Sweeper, like that guy. Can't remember, his name escapes me right now, but that game is either going to hit or it's going to miss, and I think it's going to miss hard because it looks janky as hell, unfortunately. It's going to have its fans. The Sonic fan base loves that shit. They're just going to eat that thing up. People have wanted another Knights game for ages, and I think he just got over it and so I'm just going to make my own kind of thing. It's literally like Knights. It looks like Knights, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, yeah, it's in the same universe, whatever, have fun. But yeah, it looks like it's going to bomb hard. I did have another one in mind, but I got rid of it, and now I can't remember what it is. So moving on. That's it.
It's hard to know what else was coming this year. Chunt, you've actually stole mine.
I'm really?
I'm at a complete loss. I saw something about it the other day, and I was like, that thing is going to be the most forgotten thing that comes out of this entire year.
All right, I've got another one then. That Sony Derby game, or that Ubisoft roller derby.
Oh, the roller derby thing, yeah, it's dead in the water.
Destruction All Stars.
Yeah, one of those two is going to die hard.
Yeah, I think it's completely dead in the water as well. How long has that been delayed for?
That's coming out in Feb. The PlayStation one. It's coming out in Feb. It's the PlayStation Plus game for that month.
Right, that's right. Yeah, it's going to fail.
Yeah, but the roller derby thing, how long has that been delayed for? I think
I don't know about that one.
Easily over a year, right?
Look, I'm half interested because I used to rollerblade when I was younger. Like, you know, if no one ever could even imagine that.
Who didn't?
Yeah, and ever since then, I'm like, oh, and like Street Sharks, there was a Street Shark who rollerblades. Can't remember what his name is, but you know, rollerblades are fucking rad on the 90s, man. But yeah, I'm keen to check it out, but it doesn't mean it's not going to fail.
I think massively. Yeah, it's
really quickly. The other 3 I had was Hood, the four-player Robin Hood era game.
Wow.
It Takes Two, the guy that made A Way Out, his next game. Looks shit. And the Lord of the Rings Gollum game. I don't see anything good happening out of that.
You see that that's on my delay list.
Nice.
Well, let's go there.
Yeah, so let's go there. Yeah, Gollum. I don't think you've.
That's just because we haven't heard anything from it.
That's what I mean. It's just like a case of it's still stellated, but because of how little we see or know, yeah, I just don't see it happening at all.
My question is, who was sitting there going, you know what people really need? A Gollum game. You know, who wants that?
Not me.
I think IP has become so important. Like the fact that they're making a Lord of the Rings TV show that's coming out this year on Amazon. I think the estate is happy and more free. They're more acceptable to releasing the property out there for people to do stuff with. I feel because they held on to that for so long until the movies happened. That was like a huge thing to get those movies done.
Yeah, but you don't hear people going, "Fuck, man, I wish they'd make a game all about Gollum." You know.
And it's going to be some like boring, stealthy stuff as well, which is, yeah, that could have been on the bomb list as well, but I think it's more likely to get delayed. So what about your delay list then? Man in the Middle.
Gotham Knights, I reckon that's going to get delayed. I think
out of the year.
Yeah, I think. With the game type that it is and the way that Avengers failed, I think even though they're kind of different games, but they're still similar in a lot of ways, I think that probably would have scared them a bit. I mean, they even came out with the update saying, yeah, we've changed the combat a lot, and now it's only 2 players instead of 4, and reworking a whole bunch of stuff. And that's not just a little change to just be like, oh yeah, let's just make that tweak. That's a big mechanic and gameplay change. I don't think it's coming out.
The gameplay they showed us was all around the 2-player co-op stuff, like when they're going up the ice sculpture and all that.
I think they're changing it a lot. What I saw looked kind of fun, but I don't think it's coming out this year. But besides that, the other one that I had in mind was Outriders. I mean, it's already been delayed before. But there's something about that game. Like, I'm not hearing a lot of stuff on it, and it was on my radar since Jamie let me know about it, because it looks like Destiny and Gears of War made a baby, which looks pretty cool. But there's just not a lot around it, and since it got delayed, it's gone real quiet. So I wouldn't be surprised if that got pushed another 6 months as well. But that's supposed to be coming out April 1st. What's the go of that date? It's a joke. So who knows, man? But there's a whole bunch of other shit in there that I don't care if they get delayed or not. But those are the only 2 that sprang to mind that I could see happening.
Yeah, I tried to avoid the obvious, like the God of Wars and stuff. But so I picked Crossfire X.
Oh.
I just think that was meant to be coming into the Xbox One and Series X and S, I think. I just think it will get pushed into next year. I think there'll be a few stuff that maybe. I think Microsoft are really settling up next year to just release game after game after game, and they'll come fast and hard, and that's going to be one of them.
Yeah, they will.
Interesting. I actually think that might be okay because it's been delayed already. So I know obviously. But you're talking the single player portion, right?
Yeah.
I still think that hits this year personally. But onwards, what's going to be the surprise? What's going to be the stealth drop? Chunt, you can go first.
Look, wish fulfillment, a Superman game. That no one knows has been in the makes. I'm going to say that for any time someone asks me, what game do you think that hasn't been announced that is going to drop? A Superman game. I mean, the new Superman and Lois series is coming out. I watched the trailer for it today, and holy fuck my nuts. Like, it just looks really good. And that I had low expectations for that. It looks like they put money in it. It looks like cinema. It doesn't look like TV. So I'm keen on that. And with the Justice League movie, Zack Snyder's cut coming out this year as well, there's a lot of Superman stuff up in the air. I'm just justifying it that way because I want it to will it into existence. So that's my answer. Superman.
Dan?
Speaking of willing it into the existence, if you're ever going to have a stealth drop in a year, why not be Splinter Cell? It can't get any more stealthier than that.
Nice.
Ubisoft can come out and say, in 4 months' time, basically do what Bethesda did with Fallout 4, where they announced it in June and it was out by October. Like, do that with a Splinter Cell game. They've teased us enough. Drop it. Just drop it.
And I'm going with Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Oh.
25th anniversary. It's not too much of a stealth drop, but it's not known about. I either think that, or I think there's another expansion coming to Sword and Shield.
What about Let's Go Pearl?
Nah, I don't think they do Let's Go. I think the next Let's Go will be in Johto, and I think it'll be a filler when they haven't got mainline stuff going on. Because they probably want to get to the point where they've got something every year. They've got content coming every year. They've got it's mainline, remake, Let's Go. And then you can have a Let's Go, and then they can that'll carry you over into kind of the next gen. But that's that's what I think they'll do with that.
Nice.
So, last and not least, the critical success. Dan.
Fuck Zelda. I'm going with I'm going with 12 minutes. I think as a small little indie game, having James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, William Dafoe in it, and I think it's just going to be this maybe not like what Hades is, because when people talk about Hades, they talk about how they kind of use the genre in their storytelling to perfection because they're giving you a reason why everything is happening. The idea behind 12 minutes is the fact that you play these 12 minutes over and over again, and the decisions you make affect what happens in those 12 minutes. I just think it has potential to hit that. I actually kind of hope this one gets delayed until I have an Xbox so I can play it on my new TV when I move to my new house. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, I'm going 12 minutes.
Nice. The pretentious indie game vote critic darling thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's like, Jamie, we can just say it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Breath of the Wild 2.
Breath of the Wild. Yeah, bam. I mean, it's going to be the biggest Nintendo release. Everyone's going to love the shit out of it. But Jamie, you can take the floor. You love that shit.
No, it's going to be bigger and better than the last one, isn't it? Like that's the whole point of sequels, is to be bigger, is to be better, is to do stuff that they maybe didn't get a chance to do in the first one, which is what this has been born out of. It's been born out of too many ideas for the original, too many ideas for the DLC, so why not just make a sequel? They've had a long time to work on it. I actually think it's in contention for a delay as well. I think there's still a good chance it's not till 2022, and it hits sort of April time there. If it's this year, It's Christmas, it's holiday season, it's not coming any time before that. But then what do you move out of the way? Because I've already mentioned that I expect Diamond and Pearl remakes that Nintendo don't front load. They don't go, right, here's everything at once and then disappear. They're very good at staggering releases. So yeah, it's there for that. But yeah, definitely.
Poor Horizon's going to get fucked by Zelda again.
Everything will get it, because as you learn, that game you can't do critically terribly. Even the worst, the worst of the series are still kind of hovering around the late 80s mark critically. So yeah, that's my pick, and it's Chunt's pick too.
Yep.
And we ran our course in under 40 minutes. How do we manage that? Back to the traditional 40-minute slot. We will get there. We will see you next week. Boys, thanks for the quickfire shouting. I've got to go back and do some work. And I will see you guys next week.
Bye.
And keep washing your hands.